Hello, everybody, and welcome to Modern Monarchy. It's episode number 6. We're really going to talk about King Charles this time, aren't we, Cassie?
Yes. I'm not going to ask any
Yes.
questions.
I'm not sure what the point would be to have you on the show if you didn't ask me any questions or just contribute at all.
I just sit here like a book report, like a teacher, like you just have to explain it to me. The problem is, though, is I ask derailing questions and I ask questions that you don't know the answers to, and you're like, why would you think of that?
Yeah, so I was like, this episode, we're going to keep it under 2 hours.
Okay.
So I tried not to go off on too many tangents as well.
I love that for us. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's King Charles this shit up.
Okay, so there is a baby.
And his little dress!
Yeah. Yes,
It is.
because fancy babies wear dresses. Okay?
That makes sense. What a hairline. Like, what an abrupt hairline. His,
Baby?
on the baby.
On the baby. I love he's got the chubbiest little cheeks.
He does have cute little cheeks.
He was born. Did you want to say something? Okay.
I was just gonna say that he looks a lot like his parents, but like I can see it.
I always thought I looked more like his mom. Like you can see aspects of his dad. I'm having a harder time seeing his parents in the baby.
Oh, not as
Maybe
a
that's just
baby. I just mean like when he
okay.
grows. I mean when he grows up, he looks like a lot like his parents, and that like he has the shape of his dad's like head and face, his mom's mouth for sure,
Oh yeah.
and his dad's eyes, and like a combo nose. But like
Oh yeah.
as
Yeah,
an
yeah.
adult, you can 1,000% see both of them in him.
I
Is
was
what I
gonna
was going
say
to say.
some people do that with babies. They're like, oh my god, definitely looks like the dad, and I'm like, it definitely looks like a baby.
So
I'm not good at that.
according to my friend who had a baby last year, the nurses tell people, "Oh, he looks like dad" when it's an ugly baby.
Wow.
Because they were like, "Oh, you have such a cute baby," and Callum's cute. Like this is a cute
Yeah.
baby. And Kelsey's like, "Oh, you say that to everybody," and they're like, "No, if it's an ugly baby, we say, oh, he looks like dad.' That's our code." And we're like, "Is that for real?"
Oh no. Oh no. I hope that's not real.
I hope not either, but there are some ugly babies out there.
Ugh.
Anyways, he looks like a cute baby. So
He's a cute baby. Good start.
good for you, Charles. Anyways,
He was born November 14th, 1948. So just like 3 years after World War II ends. And the country on the whole is recovering, obviously, from World War II and World War One. And they are big fans of the family, so we're real happy to see a new baby. He was born at 9:14 p.m. in Buckingham Palace in the, I don't know if it's Buell or Buell, Buhl, Buell guest suite. Oh god, she's looking things up.
I'm looking at Bill pronunciation. Bool.
Buell.
Bool.
In the Buell guest suite. So if you ever go to Buckingham Palace and spend the night in the Buell guest suite, that's where Charles was born.
Fabulous.
They
I
just
hope the mattress is
turned it-
changed.
They turned it into an operating room because he was born via C-section. Yeah, that's a lot in 1948.
I was about to say, I'm like, how common were C-sections then?
I don't think they were extremely common. She wasn't even she was put into what they called like a twilight sleep. So she was kind of there when it happened, but mostly not.
I remember reading though that this was kind of the thing around that time. Like this was when
Yeah.
like anesthetics for giving birth was kind of becoming like newer and popular and normalized.
Yeah, so they're really trying to like figure out what's appropriate for that, which
Right.
is really hard to do when most of the time we don't study female anatomy and medical issues.
Until it's in the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it is slightly unethical to like do studies on pregnant women.
Well,
But
yeah,
you mean, well,
but
yeah.
still, I feel like they don't try a lot.
No, agreed. But I guess I didn't know.
Um,
I did not know he was a C-section baby.
he's a C-section baby, and I believe this is the last generation that the royal family has babies in the palaces. After this, we start going to the hospital, which
Says something.
I think is a great idea. He's the first senior member of the royal family whose birth is not attended by a senior politician because they used to have to do that to make sure that he was actually the heir.
Right. That you weren't just like pulling a baby out of the cupboard.
You didn't just steal a baby and go, "This is mine."
Did it! Done!
Ta-da!
Then you find out later that they don't look like the parents.
Too late. Everybody likes to mention the fact that Philip wasn't present when he was born, and that he was just kind of like roaming around, and he went off to play squash at some point. I don't know why everybody makes mention of this too much because that seemed to be
That was normal
common
then.
practice. Like the man wasn't really around, especially if your wife's being cut open.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know if they wanted to be around that at the time. Like I am
Right.
not helpful here. She's
Doing her thing. I'm gonna go do
yeah.
mine.
I do like that people say that Prince Philip said or he declared
Oh,
that his son looked like a plum pudding. I
what?
don't you see the resemblance?
No, I do not. But
I think it was just a way to say he was a plump little baby, but nobody ever really explains it.
because that definitely looks like it wasn't their kid.
That plum pudding doesn't look like anyone.
That well. Sometimes they look like dad.
Don't you ever say that about my plum puddings.
Okay.
Okay. A month later, he was officially christened in the music room of Buckingham Palace, his full name being Prince Charles Philip Arthur George of the United Kingdom.
What is the? Is
Uh,
there going to be an episode on naming? I can't remember.
no, I mean the only thing I know of that's interesting about naming is that um, when it comes time for you to become the monarch, when you have a choice of changing your regnal name. So like when Charles became king, he could have become King Philip, Arthur, or George. And I was really hoping he'd become King Arthur.
I mean, that would have been great. But I guess
I
my
was
thing
like,
is like, why do they get so many names?
I'll look into it.
Thank you.
I'm thinking it's just because everybody gets a lot of names. It's not just the heir apparent. And she's looking it up now. But I think it's, it's more opportunities to pay respects to other family members.
So it's really because it gives them a choice when they get to the throne.
But they do with everybody.
But that's literally, I guess that's why though. Or like, okay, so to honor family members or figures of historical importance. Secondly, royals may choose a different name for their reign. But it has to be like one of those ones essentially. But yeah, it's usually done in tribute to a relative.
Yeah.
So it's like a really official way of being like, we really liked your Uncle Jimmy. May his name live on
And
forever.
considering they share a lot of the same names in this family, you'd be like, oh, I was honoring three of your uncles, Jimmy.
Right? You decide which one we actually meant. I don't know. Okay, anyways, that's my silly question.
Like, yeah. So I'm going into like the next topic about his childhood. So the first 3 years, his mom is Princess Elizabeth, and she doesn't have as many responsibilities. Although towards the end of the 3 years, she is starting to do more Commonwealth trips in her father's stead because he's ill. Um, but she really enjoys the first part of their marriage where she is just like the wife of a naval captain
Mm-hmm.
and he's based in Malta. So sometimes she would just pop over to Malta and just like hang out with the other wives and go shopping and just be normal for a while,
Love
which
that.
is cool and fun and great, except Charles and then eventually his sister Anne, for the most part, stay in Buckingham Palace. They don't go off with their parents.
Mm.
They, I know there's at least one time that they ship them off to Malta to hang out with their parents, but for the most part, they stayed home. And then when she became queen, she had a very restrictive time schedule, and she had like scheduled time to play with her kids for like an hour and a half.
What isn't that like such a crazy concept to like have to schedule that? Like it's just not part of like it's part of your day, but it's like okay, 4 o'clock we play with the kids, and for the rest of the day it's like sorry.
Yeah, and then like parents who don't have any help with their kids come first, and then the rest of their day happens around it.
Right? Crazy.
It is crazy.
But I mean, it's a different lifestyle.
It is. So he forms some strong relationships with the Queen Mother, who's his maternal grandmother,
Okay.
and she's she's a little social butterfly. She's really loving towards her grandson, and he always talks about how wonderful she is, and he just loves the crap out of her, and she loves the crap out of him. That's the most regal way I can put that. They love the crap out of each other. Um,
That's very cute though.
yeah. Um, so on the other side is Lord Mountbatten, who is his father's uncle, who's kind of like a replacement paternal grandfather. Um,
Because Philip's dad was dead.
yeah,
Okay.
and also wasn't really a part of Philip's life later on. Like, not to get too far into it, but they were part of the Greek royal family when Philip was born, and then they had to leave Greece through because they were going to die.
Oh,
Oh yeah. So Philip ended up going to boarding school in the UK and kind of being taken care of by family that lived in the UK and then joined the Navy for the UK and grew up over there while his dad just like went to France. It's not a happy story. His dad just kind of like went to France and lived with some other woman that's not his wife and then eventually just died.
oh, that's you're right. That is not a happy like. What
It's
a
not,
fully functional family unit.
yeah, yeah. So his uncle,
I was gonna say, I'm like, so Uncle was better though.
uncle is a little shisty. Okay, so you know how, I don't know if you know how, but you know how
By
Prince
now,
Philip comes off as like manly man, jack of all trades.
oh yeah,
Just his uncles, even more so. like that.
Ah.
He's um he's not only like a manly man and he wants Charles to be manly man, which Charles is a very adorable, emotionally sensitive child, and they're trying to like fix that. Uh yeah. So
That always goes
Uncle
great.
Lord Mountbatten is sometimes described as kind of a bully
Oh, the
and a little
children!
yeah, especially to Charles because he thinks this is a very fun project that he's going to be advising the man who's going to be king someday.
By being a
And
jerk to him.
yeah,
Yeah.
but in a playful way, I guess, because Charles loves this guy and he's a very heavy influence on Charles. So the one thing that this really comes into play is when Charles is trying to decide who he's going to marry eventually and like when he's going to do that in life. Lord Mountbatten has some advice for him that he wrote in a letter, and he said, quote, I believe in a case like yours, the man should sow his wild oats and have as many affairs as he can before settling down, but for a wife he should choose a suitable, attractive, and sweet charactered girl before she met anyone else she might fall for. That's a quote from a letter from his great uncle, and it seems to be exactly what he did.
I was gonna say, I'm like, huh, that tracks.
Yeah, it's a little uncomfy. So, 1952, February 6th, unfortunately, his grandfather, King George VI, passes away. And now Prince Charles is heir apparent at the age of 3. The next year took about not 18 months, 16 months. Yeah. June 1953, we have his mother's coronation, which is very exciting for him as a 4-year old.
Clearly.
He had the best time.
He looks like he's having literally the best day of his life.
His hair also looks like what my hair used to look like when my grandma would get a hold of it with the gel.
Ugh.
She was like, we're going to take fancy pictures on the couch. And then she would break out the gel and she would do that to my hair.
But why?
I hated it. It was
I feel
disgusting.
like she did a lot of things to you that you hated.
Yeah.
Like there's a list there.
Yeah. I know what it's like to be a royal, is what I'm saying.
That's what I took from it. Oh my goodness, his little costume.
I only included this costume because it's the first time I've seen it. And I was like,
Is he
I love
Robin
it.
Hood?
He is Robin Hood. But he has like little like military uniform pants on, which I'm guessing the costume didn't come with pants.
It was just
But I just found it a little contradictory and adorable and funny.
I love it.
So it is 5. Catherine Peebles, who's this lady over here, she's appointed as governess to oversee his education at Buckingham Palace, which she only does for like a couple of years. But I thought it was nice that I could actually find pictures of her, because sometimes I can't find pictures of the governesses. And then he goes to the Hill House School in 1956 in West London. And this is like a day school that he goes to for a year. And he's the first heir apparent to attend school rather than only being educated by a private tutor. So this is a fun experiment. Uh,
Is that like what it
there,
was? Like they just wanted to like integrate him? Like what was the thought there?
well, they. Oh God, here comes the cat.
I
Okay,
saw
show
the
the
tail.
other way. Oh God. um.
She come.
So I don't know about the first initial thought. It was mostly to make him like socially normal. Because they also at this point are trying to like go out and see the people more. It's going to be a couple more decades before we start doing actual, sorry, before we start doing actual walkabouts, like where the
Yeah.
people
They,
gather and
yeah. They
they
go for a
walk
walk.
about. Yeah. Can we not walk on? No, please, please not walk on the laptop. Thank you. Um,
No. No.
I just know that from here on out, he's going to be in boarding school, and there are articles. Oh, there are articles where we're talking about making a man out of Charlie because I think it's still a problem to a lot of people in the family that he is a quiet, shy, emotionally sensitive child.
Which, for that time period and being a man and being the king, I'm not.
Yeah, and with your dad's side of the family having a lot of men who are like, must be a manly man.
Right? Really gotta drive that home.
So, you know how you probably know this from the Netflix show The Crown. Everybody talks about when he goes to Gordonston in Scotland
Yes.
and how it's really hard and a terrible time for him.
Yes.
Well, apparently that wasn't just Gordonston. There's a little bit of that in Cheam School when he was in London. He went to Cheam from 1957 to 1962. And in an article that I read about this from the time that he went, um, Queen Elizabeth had directed that he be treated no differently from the other boys, which means he's not getting any special treatment. Uh, this place doesn't have any central heating.
Oh,
The beds, they talk about the beds being hard planked beds with like a thin mattress. Like they're really proud of the fact that you're sleeping on a terrible mattress.
as a child.
Um, yeah, and he obviously can't decide whatever he wants to eat. He has to eat whatever they're serving, and he has to go outside and play sports that he's not particularly good at. And this is also when your traditional boarding school bullying starts to kick in, except he gets it a little extra because he's a prince.
Right, and there's like no
Yay.
repercussions because they're like treat him normal.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a story from one of the articles about like one of the boys makes a mess on the floor and the teacher doesn't see who did it.
Mm.
And for some reason, Charles goes in to clean up the mess and make the teacher happy before one of the other boys finally like chimes in and said, "Sorry, it was me." But like it's kind of like no matter how much he got bullied, he still wanted to try to make friends with everybody and
Oh,
he
that's
always like
sad.
internalized. Yeah. Yeah, it was really sad. He'll never complain about this school or Gordonston. Like he'll say that like he really needed to be kind of like whipped into shape and stuff.
It feels like one of those things where it's like if I just keep telling myself this false narrative, eventually it'll be true.
Yeah, and it's just I kind of relate to that as a kid of just like wanting to keep the peace around you and like not wanting to make things worse by like tattling on people and whatnot.
Right.
But it just feels like he just internalized that he wasn't good enough at all times and it was okay for other people to bully him.
It's so
Kind of like his uncle.
it's so sad though.
I know. In 1958, a year after he starts going to Cheam, the Queen publicly announces that he is now. Actually, I'm going to have you just read the little blurb.
All right. Whitehall, Saturday, July 26, 1958. Just a couple days after my birthday. Not that year, obviously, but. Okay. The Queen. I'm assuming it has to be in all caps because she's the Queen.
A queen!
Like, is that why? So there's no, like, mistaking?
I'm not sure why they got to be so dramatic.
I just think it's funny. The Queen has
Yeah.
been pleased to order a letters patent be passed under the Great Seal for creating His Royal Highness Prince Charles Philip Arthur George, Duke of Cornwall, and the Rothsay, Earl of Carrick, Baron of Renfrew, Lord of the Isles, and the Great Steward of Scotland, Prince of Wales, and Earl of Chester.
So he gets all his fun titles at the age of 10.
So how does that work, though? Like, how do you get your titles?
The Queen just lets you have them now.
Oh, there's not like an age or something you do. It's just like, yeah, I'm feeling it today.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like when Charles, it was the day after Queen Elizabeth died, Charles did a little message on television. And in his message, he said that Prince William is now Prince of Wales. Like, it's not a automatic thing. The monarch has to give it to you.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I believe once you're Prince of Wales, all these other ones go with it. All these other ones automatically belong to Prince of Wales.
Got it. Interesting.
And, oh, is that blurry to you? It looks blurry to me.
It is blurry, but it's still a pretty photo.
Yeah, I decided to choose a pretty photo because I just needed one of the outside of this building, and apparently this is all I could find. This is Gordonston. This is the scary place.
I was about to say, I'm like, this must mean it's the bad place.
It's in Scotland. This place, I think it was more of Prince Philip's influence because he wanted him to go to another school that was going to make him into a tough, manly man. It's known for strict discipline and emphasis on self-reliance. He had endured more bullying and isolation for being a prince and a soft boy.
Soft boy.
Um, yeah. But if you ask Charles about it, he says that he it taught him a great deal about himself and his own abilities and disabilities. And in 1975, he said that he was glad he had attended Gordonston and that the toughness of the place is much exaggerated. Is it?
It sounds like you were in an abusive relationship. And they're like, let's talk
Yeah.
about your ex. And he's like, it was fine. I
Yeah.
needed it.
So I was thinking about this while I was making the notes in relation to Diana because that Diana situation is the only thing that doesn't make sense to me when it comes to him being emotionally sensitive and a soft boy. Like, then why?
Right. Why'd you do that?
But it
Right.
was like he was doing what Lord Mountbatten said he should do,
Right.
and I think he went to these schools and was trying to be the manly man he was told that he should be. And then when she was having emotional difficulties, at the very least, he attempted to at first bring her to a doctor that he thought would help. And when that didn't work, after that, he was like, I don't have time for this. Like, nobody else had time for my issues. So it's probably like,
Toughen up.
figure your
That's
own
what I
shit
had
out.
to do.
Yeah. But he probably didn't say that. He probably just,
Right. Acted like a
it's
jerk.
like, that's the way of the world. Like, you figure out your shit.
Right. Or not. Just internalize it. Shove it down.
Yeah. Everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. In 1965, Charles undertakes his first public engagement by attending a student garden party at the palace at Holyrood House. Do you know where Holyrood House is?
Wait, didn't you show me that not last time? I feel like you showed me in was it Diana? No.
I don't know.
I
I don't
feel-
know why Holyrood House would have come up.
Why does the name sound familiar then?
Well, it is the official residence of the monarch in Scotland.
Then maybe I'm thinking of it because I think I've been outside of it. Oh yeah,
Maybe.
I've been outside of that building.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's why I'm like, why does that sound really familiar? Yeah, because I've been at Arthur's Seat.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I love Edinburgh. Anyways,
I want to go.
highly recommend.
In 1966, a year later, he's an exchange student at Timber Top, which
Ooh,
is
that
in
sounds like Boy
uh,
Scouts.
sort of, kind of. It's a remote outpost of the Church of England Grammar School in Melbourne, Australia. And so there's a lot more. It's kind of like boarding school, but
Churchy.
more outdoorsy.
Oh, outdoorsy churchy.
I think it's more grammar school than churchiness.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so he's there in Australia for 6 months. There's lots of hard work, long hikes, working outside. Um, this is another one of those places where if you want a hot shower, you better go cut the wood to make the fire to heat the water so you can have the hot shower, or you can have a cold shower.
That's Australia. That's probably nice.
Yeah. um, Charles will joke about this place. He enjoyed being picked on by other students for being a quote, pommy bastard.
Does that mean he was an
Yeah.
asshole? Like a little pompous asshole?
So here's the thing. Australians have a word for British people that is the word pommy. And I tried to look up the etymology of like where that came from.
Yeah.
And there are like 6 different explanations
Of
for
pommy.
where pommy comes from, and nobody can agree on what it is. So it just means British.
But Australian slang for British and assumingly derogatory?
Slightly.
Okay.
But I also think that there's a difference between being picked on the other boys in a boarding school in the UK where I think they are probably absolutely vicious. And for some reason, when an Australian does it, it's actually kind of funny.
Like, oh, well, when you say it, it sounds fun.
Yeah, I think that's probably how he took it because he says that this time in Australia was his favorite like academic experience.
Oh, okay. So clearly it wasn't that bad.
I feel like it was more like a ribbing than actual
We want to break
bullying.
you down as a human being.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad
So
he had
after,
some good school experience.
yeah. And then after 6 months in Australia, he goes back to Gordonston for the final year. Fun fact, that last year he is appointed the school guardian. He's head boy, which I'm sure
Garnered
didn't
a
get
lot
him
more
bullied
bullying.
anymore. Yeah.
Woof.
1967, I get really excited about this because this is where my favorite pictures come in. He goes to Cambridge University, and you can tell he has a freaking blast.
Oh my god.
Look at this one in the corner where he's
I
like singing some song.
I hope it's Whitney Houston. The look on his face as he is like Is she alive
No,
then?
well, she's alive, but she's not a
No,
thing.
putting out her shit yet. Because he
Yeah.
looks like he is belting out the song of a diva.
Oh,
He looks like me when I'm singing in the car.
look at him. He's in a trash can over here. He's having a blast.
And the one of him with like his big old grin on the floor in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
That's like
This is so
genuinely happy.
right. I love it. This is also how I felt about college.
Fair.
He started off going to school for archaeology and anthropology. Later he changed his degree to history. Obviously, you can see he's also into like anything that has to do with arts and the culture, the arts and culture, not arts and the culture. And theater. He loves some theater. He loves poetry.
You could tell.
Yeah. Um, and just to never have a free moment to himself, apparently. He also, while he's in college, starts taking flying lessons from the Royal Air Force.
Just for fun?
Well, he's later going to go into the military after he graduates, but he starts taking flying lessons now.
Got it.
Once he starts going to college is when he also starts hanging out with the
There's
ladies.
a lot of ladies.
These are some of the ones that were in the press for being associated with him. The second one in on the top is Camilla,
Okay.
because obviously she's in the rotation.
Speed dial, arguably, but okay.
he, some of them he's just like seen with, and people assumed he was dating. Some of them apparently he was actually dating. A couple of them he proposed to, and they were like, I don't want any part of this royal thing. Thank you very much. It looks like a lot.
Oh, I didn't realize that he had proposed multiple times before
Yeah, I think twice that we know of.
that we know of.
That we know of. But okay, so dating in the aristocracy in the 70s was a little more loosey goosey than it was in like the 40s and the 50s when their parents' generation were being introduced to society. They actually had like in the 40s and the 50s they actually had like debutante balls where like you turned 18 and then your father hosted a ball and everybody showed up and you tried to find a match and then you got married too young and you had a bunch of kids and then you get divorced. Now,
Sounds like Utah.
I think I think it's probably something very similar to that.
Sorry to any of our Utah listeners.
This is not the first time we've said something about Utah.
I lived
So
there for a year, so I feel like I get to crap on them a little bit.
we're never gonna make it big in Utah.
Good.
Good. In the 70s, there's a lot more mingling. There's a lot more relationships that are on and off. Like Charles and Camilla are on and off. But I watched a documentary that talked to a couple of these ex-girlfriends, and one of them was talking about a time that he invited her to a ball. He invited the current girlfriend to a ball. Spent the entire night dancing and cavorting with Camilla, like in front of everybody. He brought somebody else and then just hung out with Camilla the whole time.
Not at
So Charles,
all manly.
ugh, ugh. Um, so Charles and Camilla are on and off. Camilla and Andrew Parker Bowles are on and off, and she's probably got a couple other guys on the wings somewhere on a different burner. And then I guess Andrew and Princess Anne, Charles's sister, have a thing for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, we'll get back to the whole Charles and Camilla thing in a few years. We're still in 1967, and I like to keep things chronological.
Okay,
Because
that makes sense.
just know that for a while, for like the next decade, we're going to be doing this on the side, hanging out with lots of girls.
Okay.
1969. This is another one of my favorite moments. This is his official investiture as Prince of Wales. It takes place at Castle Carnarvon in Wales. The I don't know why I said the Lord Snowdon, who is Princess Margaret's husband,
Okay.
he's a professional photographer, so he arranges this ceremony so that it's television friendly.
Ooh.
It received some opposition from Welsh nationalist organizations. There were a few nonviolent protesters, other people booed and made obscene gestures at the royal carriages as they came into the castle. And one protester threw an egg at the Queen as it passed by. So there's like a lot of mixed feelings about the title of the Prince of Wales because when it originally came to be that the heir apparent would be Prince of Wales in tradition, it was because the English had finally beaten the Welsh into submission and basically were like, your prince is our prince. Like you're under our monarch. And you're always gonna be under our monarch, and that's just how it's gonna be. Because they kept trying to have a king of Wales, and then the English would have to come back over and uh,
Kill him.
have war. So it's something I wish the British royal family would take more seriously nowadays. Like when Charles, like I said earlier, the day after his mother died, automatically just threw the title at William. I understand that it's tradition and Charles loves tradition and loves the ceremony and loves all that stuff. But if we're actually thinking about like where the title comes from, maybe we should have a talk about the fact that it came from putting the people of Wales into submission.
Right.
But I guess now's not the time for that. Um, so one of my favorite things about this investiture is his coronet. Um, there was a traditional Prince of Wales coronet for investitures that the last time it was used was in 1911 for King Edward VIII because he was made Prince of Wales before he was King Edward VIII for less than a year and then left the whole country with Wallis Simpson. So they said that the original crown became unavailable, but I'm thinking that they didn't want to use the crown that King Edward VIII had used.
It left
Like
with.
it's kind of cursed.
Right.
So they made a new one.
Ooh.
It was made in 1969. So it has some
It looks like a
very
basket. Like you would grab it by the handle and use it as a basket.
it does kind of look like a basket. They tried to make it a little more like take the traditional crown shapes of crosses and the fleur de lis and the orb and the cross, but like make it modern and a little bit space related.
Constructed.
So, this golden orb in the middle is actually a ping pong ball that was covered in gold.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
They put a ping pong ball on his head?
Yeah,
Does he know this? Like, he
I
must
believe
now.
so. It doesn't really seem. I've never heard anybody ask him questions about it, but it's an interesting choice.
I guess I'm just curious, like, who was like, well, you know what? We really should save money in this situation. I've got an idea.
Ping pong ball.
We'll go to the
Um,
hardware store and I'll get some gold spray paint. Oh, drive by. Really slow drive by.
you
uh,
shouldn't step on your keyboard.
but she is moving my desk down.
No.
That's so funny. Uh, anyways,
Were you gonna say something?
I don't remember now. The cat
You were like
distracted me.
halfway through that. Anyways, it's made
Gone
with
now.
Welsh gold. And there are 13 square diamonds around the mound, the ping pong ball, that are in the shape of Scorpio, his astrology sign.
I looked that up earlier because I was curious, and I was like, he's not really a Scorpio, but that's
He's
interesting. Okay.
not really, except for I find that Scorpios are very internal with their feelings. I think he's
Yeah.
got that going on.
Agreed.
Um, and I thought it was interesting that they were talking about like these uh, these things over here that's supposed to be their modern rendition of the fleur de lis.
Is
But
that what that
I,
is?
yeah, I
Oh.
automatically thought that it was the three Prince of Wales feathers. But then I had an epiphany that the Prince of Wales feathers is kind of in the shape of a fleur de lis, but with feathers.
Yep.
So that's the thing that I figured out. But
Those years of
yeah,
Nancy Drew.
yeah. Is it years of Nancy Drew or me seeing The Crown and going, oh, they put the Prince of Wales feathers on it, and then I read an article and they were like, and it has a modern rendition of the fleur de lis, and I was like,
Oh,
ah,
I see
well,
it
okay,
now.
okay. So after one ceremony, we move on to another. He graduates from college, first heir apparent to earn a university degree, and he gets a master's. How fun. Then we move on to another ceremony. Charles loves ceremonies. That's great because he's going to be doing them for the rest of his life. He, he then takes his seat in the House of Lords, which sounds a little weird considering that the British royal family is not supposed to have any influence on the government. So it's more of like a ceremonial seat in the House of Lords. Because in the 70s, the House of Lords was still made up of literally lords and members of the peerage. So if you were an aristocratic family, you had a seat in the House of Lords to be part of the government just because you're fancy.
Got it.
But in 1999, they had the House of Lords Act that stopped this hereditary, like you can no longer pass your seat to the next um titled member of your family, right?
Okay.
He lost his seat in the House of Lords, and I just wanted to point out that they still have a House of Lords, and it confused me. I was like, so if you can no longer go into the House of Lords by hereditary means, how do you still have a House of Lords?
Right? I was gonna say, I'm like, is it just a lot of old people?
No, so now it's you are kind of
Like elected?
appointed to go in, because you're not elected by people. You don't have constituents. You don't represent any region. There's like an appointment panel, and then this goes through the prime minister who gives advice to the king to appoint individuals to join the House of Lords. These people are experts in their field usually,
Okay.
and different change makers. You could be like a doctor, charity worker, an athlete, people who are like, there's an actress in the House of Lords. And if you
Ooh.
are not already part of the peerage, you get to make up your own title. Like, if I, for some reason, was appointed into the House of Lords, I could just be like, I am Baroness Jennifer of Salem,
I love that. I want to be
right?
in that club. So wait,
Right?
who's the actress in it right now? Or is it not somebody
Baron.
that I would
It
know?
starts with the. It starts with Baroness Floella.
I'm sorry, what? Her name is Lella?
Her bar- her Baroness name is Baroness Benjamin because her name is Floella Benjamin. And she was born September 23rd, 1949, just a few days before me. She's a Libra. Hello. She's a Trinidadian British actress, singer, presenter, author, politician.
Interesting. There's a lot of. There's 833. So are you just that forever?
Yeah, you're appointed for life.
That's
And
crazy.
they don't tend to like show up for every topic that's brought up because usually you get appointed because you're an expert in a certain field. You usually just show up
For things that
for
apply to you.
laws. Yeah. I mean, you can show up for everything if you're a loser.
Yeah. But it's just like, how is this? There's this whole other thing that just exists, and it's just people who are appointed, but they're really only there to be like serve as experts when it's like convenient. I don't know. It's just weird. It's crazy.
Yeah, they don't even get paid a salary. They get paid daily. So
Like,
whenever you show up, you get paid.
well, that's nice.
Huh. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Now that I know
Okay.
more about the House of Lords, I can move on.
Okay. Moving on from the House of Lords. Remember he was taking flying lessons?
Yes.
But he was in college, but he flew himself to the RAF Cranwell in Lincolnshire or Lincolnshire. I'm not sure what British people say. To train as a jet pilot. And then in September 1971, so 6 months later, after the passing out parade, he embarked on a naval career. 6-week course at the Royal Naval College, Dartmouth, was followed by service on the guided missile destroyer, the HMS Norfolk, and 2 frigates. So he was trained to fly with the Air Force, and he was like, I'm going into the Navy, like my dad. This is where we get into, oh, 1973. 1973, we go on a naval tour.
Ooh.
1973 naval tour is important because, number one, when he goes on this naval tour, he will be on the off with Camilla, and while he's away, she will marry Andrew Parker Bowles.
Oh, and he's gonna come back to that and find out.
I mean, he probably finds out while he's away, but
Probably. But it's not like
not
she
great.
posted it on Facebook and was like, "We're married now."
But also wanted to point out that he attends the 350th anniversary of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, my friend. That's where I'm
Wow.
from. Check out the
What?
sideburns.
That is a look. I'm glad that went away. That's so funny. What are the odds?
I know. And then I was like, well, that means like a couple years ago. Portsmouth had its 400th anniversary, and nobody from the British royal family attended.
You guys really fell out of favor with them.
You guys are, I think they're dropping the ball, is what it is.
You should write a strongly worded letter
I will.
and say, you know what, you missed our birthday.
You could have at least sent William.
Alone.
hmm In 1974,
I see
thumbs
what
up, my
he's
dude.
about to cry, though. He's like, gonna fly now.
1974, he becomes qualified as a helicopter pilot. So we gotta learn how to fly everything. Da, 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 da. He joins the 845 Naval Air Squadron, which is operated from the commando carrier HMS Hermes. How fun.
Ew. We love a Greek
Uh,
reference.
we do love a Greek reference. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and a Greek reference. That's actually totally off track. My little ring here I got in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, has the Greek meander symbol on it.
That's so
It's
funny.
all coming together. It's all
Okay.
coming together. A couple of years later, he took command of the coastal mine hunter HMS Bronington for his last 9 months in the Navy. So when he leaves the Navy in 1976, he uses the 7,500 pound severance pay from the Navy and founded the Prince's Trust, which is still in operation today, but they've now named it the King's Trust. There was a bit in the news a couple years ago where people were saying that the king wanted William to take over the Prince's Trust and have it stick with whoever was the Prince of Wales. But I don't know if that's true or William didn't want to do it. But now it's the King's Trust, and uh, King Charles is still like the president of all of this. It supports the Prince's Trust / King's Trust supports 11 to 30-year-olds who are unemployed or struggling at school and at risk of exclusion from society. Any of the young people helped by the trust face issues such as homelessness, disability, mental health problems, or trouble with the law. To date, it's helped over 1 million people turn their lives around. It has created 125,000 entrepreneurs. It's given business support to 395,000 people in the UK. And it now has established 16 more charitable organizations underneath it. And Charles serves as the president of all of those, which I don't know how much he does as president because he's a little busy being king. I'm sure he finds some time.
The queen was scheduling the time with her children. He'll figure it out.
This is the same.
He'll figure it out.
Together, the 16 organizations form a loose alliance. A loose alliance. The Prince's Charities, which is what they're called, which describes itself as the largest multi-cause charitable enterprise in the United Kingdom, raising more than £100 million annually.
Woof.
He did good with that.
He did. He's welcome to campaign for me.
Now for some sad news for Charles. Did you watch The Whole Crown?
Yeah.
Okay. So in August of 1979 is when Lord Mountbatten is assassinated in Ireland.
Yes.
The IRA placed 50 pounds of gelignite bomb. They placed a bomb on the Shadow 5, which was the boat that he was on with some other people. After the bomb went off, Lord Mountbatten was found alive by fishermen who rushed to the site of the explosion, but he died before reaching shore. It also killed Mountbatten's 14-year-old grandson and a kid named Paul Maxwell, who was serving as the crew. The 4 on board who survived were all seriously injured, as you might assume.
I was gonna say, I'm like, so did anybody survive? But it's
One
feeling
person did like die the next day, though.
okay. But that still counts as
Yeah.
dying because of it.
Writing in his journal on the day of um, Lord Mountbatten's death, Charles said, I have lost someone infinitely special in my life, someone who showed enormous affection, who told me unpleasant things I didn't particularly want to hear, who gave me praise where it was due as well as criticism, someone to whom I knew I could confide anything and from whom I would receive the wisest of counsel and advice. In some extraordinary way, he combined grandfather, great uncle, father, brother, and friend, and I shall always be eternally grateful that I was lucky enough to have known him for as long as I did. Life will never be the same now that he has gone.
Whew.
Yeah. And then a couple years later, ta-da,
Ta-da!
he marries Lady Diana Spencer, and nothing went wrong ever again.
Happily ever after.
Yeah, they have 2 babies. William's born in 1982. Harry's born in 84. In 1985, there was this interview that I think I put a clip in the Diana episode, but I keep going back to this interview because the interviewer was very nosy and a little judgmental. And he kept every time he'd ask Charles questions, he would talk about the fact that Charles is being made fun of in the news and in public because he's exploring things like veganism, even though Charles is in the interview is like, I just don't eat a lot of meat, but I still occasionally like eat fish and whatnot. It's really not that weird.
Right? Y'all are making
But
this a big deal and it's not.
right in the 80s, veganism was weird. Uh, Charles was also writing books. And anytime he did speeches, he would put his little 2 cents in about things like growing food organically. Also, he thinks he's learned that it's good to talk to your plants, so people would pick on him relentlessly for talking to plants. And also his views on modern architecture. He really hates modern architecture, which is going to be evident later on when he is part of a building project to like create a what's the word? Like an experimental town.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, he's got a lot of ideas that today would not seem weird at all, but
To them
back
was crazy.
in the 80s, they were like, "You're freaking weird, my guy."
We should send you back to boarding school.
Yeah, clearly it wasn't enough. In 86 or 85, depending on who you talk to, he also starts going out with Camilla on the side. 1988, another sad thing. Charles and a few others go skiing in Switzerland, and there is a massive avalanche, and it kills one of his friends.
Oh, sad.
Yeah. So Charles says that obviously the whole mountainside seemed to hurtle past us. And I think from what I read in the news, he was, I don't want to say taking the blame, but like, he was kind of saying like, it was my idea to go skiing over in that area that we probably shouldn't have gone.
Oh, so even like way back in school when like there was a mess and it wasn't his mess, he still wanted to
But
like
yeah,
take the fall for
he
it.
took the blame. Yeah,
Even though there kind of was no need for that.
yeah,
Sensing a pattern.
yeah,
Oh,
no way.
this looks like
1990.
her face looks like his face at his mom's coronation.
Yeah. Except she's struggling to get through like a foreign tour in Korea right now.
It looks like he might
Uh,
be too.
yeah. Every picture from that tour looks like that. They just look miserable the whole time. In 1992, this is when the Prime Minister announces to the House of Commons that the Prince and Princess of Wales have agreed to separate. And then 1993, construction begins on Poundbury, which is his little experimental town. It is in the Duchy of Cornwall. It's supposed to be a high density urban pattern. Basically, he wanted to make like a walking city where you didn't have to rely on cars so much.
Okay.
Um, he also obviously had a hand in the architecture. He likes older, more traditional English architecture when you are in England.
Fair.
Designing the development around people rather than the car, that's what I said, to avoid constant construction. Utilities are buried in common utility ducts under the town. Like at Disney World,
Mm-hmm.
they have tunnels underneath where they can fix all the problems.
Yep.
This is
That.
Disney World you can live in.
Some people do live in Disney World.
It consists of 35% social housing and is designed for sustainable development, which includes carbon neutrality. The development includes period features such as wrought iron fences, porticos, gravel public squares, and bricked up windows, which I don't understand the bricked up windows thing because usually you brick up a window when you've taken the window out.
Right?
But here it seems to be a design element. I didn't,
Interesting.
it's interesting. It says it's due for completion this year and is expected to house a population of 6,000 people.
Hmm.
Looks lovely.
We'll see.
Oh, is this the video? January 26, 1994. He's in Australia on tour. And do I want to say this or do I want to just play it?
Just play it.
Let's go play it.
But there were two shots.
Would you like to watch it again?
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch it one more time. 'Cause I've watched it many times.
There were two shots.
I love that he's so nonchalant. He's just like, whoa,
Right? He's like,
one
I'm
shot.
fixing the button on my sleeve, guy. Come on.
And then the guy like throws himself up on stage and he's like, oh, you're enthusiastic. a strange
It's
response.
very reminiscent of the video of the Queen during the Troop in the Color parade, where she's on horse in the parade and there's gunshots and she does not even
React. I remember
react.
seeing that because like everybody was like, "Really, nothing."
Nothing.
I wonder,
Nada.
you know how they get all that like formal training on like how to be a royal? I wonder if that's like part of it, where it's like your job is to stay calm in the face of
Mm.
adversity. You know?
I mean, like, you have to, like, what do you do when somebody's shooting at you? You can't, first you figure out where they are because you can't hide from somebody if you don't know where they are.
Right?
Also, he's on a stage. Where's he gonna go? Just down?
Duck and cover.
But
Duck and cover.
so he was shot at by a 23-year-old man. His last name was Kang. They fired two blank shots from a starting pistol. It was during an Australian Day speech in Sydney. In protest, he was doing this in protest of several hundred Cambodian asylum seekers held in detention camps in Australia.
So you
I
shot
don't know
at.
what shooting the Prince of Wales does. In court, Kang testified that he was suffering from depression. He had previously written letters to the Prince of Wales, the President of the United States, the United Nations, and the Pope. And
Nobody
nobody helped him.
listened?
Nobody listened. He's like, hey, I also wrote letters to these other guys, so you better listen.
Okay.
He was sentenced to 500 hours of community service, so he didn't even go to jail.
Okay.
And then in 2005, he said of the incident, what happened 11 years ago was an extremely traumatic experience, and I have certainly moved on in my life, and now I have become a barrister here in Sydney. He also emphasized he did not intend to hurt anyone during his protest.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I don't think it accomplished anything, my friend.
I was gonna say, I'm like, so nothing happened, but also he didn't get in trouble, so I guess it's a wash.
Yep.
It's fine.
I just want to watch it one more time.
There were two
It,
shots.
his face.
It's like,
Oh, that's alarming.
ugh.
And then he just like scoots off to the side and is like, huh.
It's just like, oh, that's a lot.
Like I said, I wonder if there's like a training piece where it's like, as a royal, you have to like
Mm,
keep your composure.
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like I heard someone say at one point that like they put themselves out on the balcony. They put themselves in parades. They put themselves on stages. They constantly know that every time they do that, they could be
There's
shot.
a risk, yeah.
So, yeah. So when it actually happens, it's like, well, here we go.
Well, today's the day.
Oh, okay.
Who could have seen this coming?
Also in 1994, I did not look for a picture for this because I didn't want to see it. The German tabloid Bild published nude photos of Charles while he was on vacation.
Oh,
This seems to be a common thing that happens with the royal family. They just go like on vacation and get naked. Like, I think, I think, I'm not sure on this one. I think they did the same to Diana. And I know that they took naked pictures of Catherine on vacation because then her and William sued them for that.
oh.
I'm just saying maybe stop being nude in public.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I mean, considering who you are, how
Yeah.
many people follow you around just to take photos of you,
Yeah.
you have to know it's a risk.
Yeah?
What do I know?
I mean, maybe it's a European thing, but like
I mean,
you're
there's some
there
sort
is
of.
no chance you will ever catch me naked outside. This is never gonna happen.
You're also not royal, so.
Yeah, well, if I was royal.
I mean, naked in the gardens every day.
Yeah.
Divorce.
Divorce. But you know what this slide's about.
I
1996,
bet I do.
marriage was dissolved. Sad faces.
Sad faces.
1997,
Death.
Diana killed in a car crash. Prince of Wales flew to Paris with her two sisters to bring her body back to London. He then accompanied his two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, as they walked behind the coffin from the Mall to Westminster Abbey, and asked the media to respect his son's privacy to allow them to lead a normal school life.
His face always looks like a cartoon turtle to me that's got like anxiety.
God.
Like,
God.
like an animated turtle who's constantly like, oh no.
Just all the time. Oh
All the
no.
time. I don't know if it's the eyebrows, like the upturned eyebrows.
Amy. Sad. Well, we discussed that in the Diana episode. A couple of years later, this is the first time that Charles and Camilla make their first public appearance. From here on, they're going to start trying to improve her reputation in the media because when Diana died, people wanted Camilla dead, basically. Like, as much as we say now that like the woman always gets the hate, there was the added factor that everybody thought that Diana was like leagues more beautiful than Camilla, so like they're confused.
Right? They're like, really? You didn't even leave her for a prettier woman?
And so she gets absolutely ravaged in the news. Like she is called like a bulldog and a horse face lady. And you know, when Megan complains about what the media say about her, I'm just like
Did you see what
I
they
can
said about
understand.
Camilla?
I can understand why the rest of the family is like, have you heard what they've said about the rest of us, ma'am? It is gonna happen.
Right?
It's just
You're not
gonna happen.
special.
Right.
Bullying's part of the package.
It is. You get lots of privilege and money, and you get to live in palaces and wear fancy things. And people are gonna be mean to you sometimes.
It is what it is.
March 30th, 2002 was the death of the Queen Mother. She was 101.
Oh, his buddy.
It was his buddy.
That's so sad.
Yeah. Look how sad his face is on that one.
He's gonna say, like, it looks the same.
Eh. And then, so Camilla moves into Clarence house in 2003. 2005, in February, we're going to get a little more micro on this. In February 2005, engagement to Camilla is announced. I have seen the videos of this little shindig where she's showing off the ring, and she is happy.
Is she?
She is so happy.
I'm surprised you
I've
did
never
not
seen.
include a clip of that.
I've never seen her smile so hard. Like she always seems like a pretty chill lady who's like laughing and smiling about stuff, but when she got engaged, she was like, this is great.
Good for her, I guess.
So February engaged, But in March 2nd, Queen's consent to marriage was officially recorded. And then in April, they get married. Like bing, bang, boom.
I was gonna say, like, no time at all. They also had a lot of time to figure it out.
This is also like when I do these biography pieces, I always start with what the royal website has about this person. Charles's biography page ends in 2005. Like,
That's so funny.
it was like, you guys, it's been 20 years.
And also, some stuff has happened.
Are you saying nothing's happened in the last 20 years?
Is there like a contact page you can send something in and be like, hey?
Thinking about it. Da, da, da.
I love this garish green dress on the end.
Yeah.
That's a
those are
choice.
Noah's children.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So they are married in a civil ceremony, not a religious one in a church, at the town hall in Windsor. Charles is the only member of the royal family to have a civil wedding. The marriage of divorced people, according to the Church of England, was possible in 2002, 3 years earlier, but you had to have it approved by members of the clergy, and the Archbishop of Canterbury said no. Well,
He was
I
the one
feel
holding
like
it back.
I think it was because Charles was going to be the next king that he was like, I feel like that's a bridge too far for me.
Got it.
Like, you're going to be head of the church, and this is a new thing that we're like not 100% kosher with. We don't want to marry divorced people.
Got it.
Oh, then also their wedding date was postponed a day because Charles had to attend the funeral of Pope John Paul II. I
Oh,
just feel like this is all the churches saying, maybe don't get married.
right?
Charles's parents did not attend the actual marriage ceremony. They went to the blessing service afterwards. Probably also because the queen was the head of the church. But the actual blessing service was done, it was televised. One thing I found interesting about this was that this is not a wedding, right? The church is not marrying you, but we will bless the union. But during that blessing, you're gonna have to renounce your sins. You're gonna have to actually repent. So if you could just read this little article from the day before the wedding.
Okay. Charles to repent manifold sins. The Prince of Wales and Camilla Parker Bowles will use their wedding tomorrow as an opportunity to, quote unquote, earnestly repent the manifold sins and wickedness of their past deeds. In words that cannot fail to resonate, the couple have chosen the sternest possible prayer of penitence from the
Yeah.
1662 Book of Common Prayer to be read by themselves and their guests at the and their guests.
Yeah, everybody had to say it.
I was gonna say, like, everybody has to say this thing.
The whole church read it.
That's so funny. Read by themselves and their guests at the blessing of their marriage, led by the Archbishop of Canterbury, who already was like, I don't want to do this.
He's like, I will do it if you repent.
And everybody has to do it with you. Janet, I don't see you saying it.
Repent.
The prayer reads, we acknowledge and bewail our manifold sins and wickedness, which we, from time to time, most grievously have committed.
From time to time.
by thought, word, and deed, against thy divine majesty, provoking most justly thy wrath and indignation against us. We do earnestly repent and are heartily sorry for these misdoings.
As you should be.
Okay, so it's just killing me the fact that it's like, okay, it's one thing for them to read it. It's another thing to have a whole room full of people where it's like, this is the
We didn't do
blessing.
it.
This is the blessing of your wedding, and it's like, this is our sins that we've committed by thought. We even thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Word and deed. Like, that's so funny.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting because it's the only time I've seen Charles and probably most people in the royal family acknowledge wrongdoings.
Well, they had to. He didn't have a
And
choice.
he, and he had to do it so he could get married.
To the person he did a lot of these wrongdoings with.
Hmm.
Hysterical.
Yeah. So after they get married, so Camilla is now technically the Princess of Wales. But if you think that's gonna fucking fly with anybody after the last one was Diana, it wasn't even just like Diana was the last Princess of Wales and now we just transfer it to the next person who is married to the Prince of Wales. She's also the last time somebody was Prince of Wales was King Edward VIII, and he didn't get married before he became king. So Diana's the only Princess of Wales anybody in living memory knows.
Oh, so they're attached
So
to that.
the
They're like, you
name
can't
goes
give
with
that.
her. And we're certainly sure as hell not giving it to Camilla. So there's this really awkward thing where she is technically the Princess of Wales, and I put her on one of the reels I made where I mentioned every Princess of Wales that has ever existed. And I've had people comment that she was not the Princess of Wales. And I'm like, technically,
Technically.
technically she was. Even if you look it up online, she comes up as one of the princesses of Wales. So they give her the next title down, which is the Duchess of Cornwall. So she's Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cornwall, which makes it really cumbersome anytime anybody in the news wants to talk about her because you have to call. Nobody really calls him the Duke of Cornwall because he has a higher title of the Prince of Wales.
Right.
So they call them the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall. It's like, it's a lot of words,
Right.
but we got to do it.
And it also very clearly implies that she's not on the same level.
She was not, she's not fighting any of that. You can tell the entire time she's like, I get it. I know why everybody's mad. I got it. I can be the Duchess of Cornwall. It's fine. Okay? I don't
Right.
even need a title. You don't want me to have any title? That's fine.
Just here for him.
I'm just here for him. I promise. Okay. So, from here on out, I'm going without the help of the royal website.
Okay, because we got 20 years of history lost.
Yeah, well, we're gonna skip ahead to May 2015.
Oh, 10 years. Whoa.
Yeah, so we're jumping ahead to this moment in Ireland where he shakes hands with Gerry Adams, the leader of Sinn Féin, the group that is widely believed to be the head of the IRA, the militant group that assassinated Lord Mountbatten in 1979.
Does he know that?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
it's a big moment. That's why I picked it. So I think it was just before this that the Queen had gone over to Ireland, and she would be the first British monarch to be welcomed in the country of Ireland. And so Charles goes over, shakes hands with Jerry Adams, and Charles says that it was the loving kindness he was shown by the people of Ireland that had done much to aid the healing process. So we're trying to just like mend relations, and I can only imagine that was still really difficult to do.
Right.
So we're trying to make things better with Ireland. Yay. And then 3 years later, the Commonwealth, the heads of the Commonwealth, all elect that when the Queen dies, they would like Charles to be the head of the Commonwealth. Which, A, is cool that he's been elected to do so. And also, it's just like, to me, it makes sense because other heads of states and leaders of nations, you're usually only a head of state for like a certain amount of time, for like a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Charles, this has been his entire life. Like, he's been dedicated to the Commonwealth
For a
his
long time.
entire life. He's met a lot of these people over his lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Queen. The Queen had a lot of respect in the Commonwealth because she's been to all these countries and she remembers things from visiting them, and she knows like the presidents before you in your country. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they have a lot of background information that nobody else is going to have. So if you're going to pick one person to head the whole thing,
Ideally, they should know what they're talking about.
yeah. Which I think when it comes to William, that they might not elect him as head of the Commonwealth because he does do stuff outside the UK sometimes. I don't get the vibe that he dedicates as much time and energy to the Commonwealth as his father and his grandmother did.
Got it.
That's my prediction. But I also don't know who they would go with. So that's gonna be interesting. I'm just chewing on popcorn while I wait. A few years later, guess what times these are?
COVID.
Yeah!
I'm like, tea time. You're like, what time is it? Tea time.
Tea time on Zoom. In 2021 and 2022, he does contract COVID. Because he apparently just can't stay home.
He was partying.
March 7th, 2021 is the Oprah interview with his son and his son's new wife that just made everything so easy for him.
Who love him so much.
So the other thing that really ticks people off about this interview is that they decided to do it while Prince Philip, who is 99 years old, was hanging out in the hospital, and we're all pretty sure he is going to die soon. So, like,
It
if you're going
felt
to be
a
a little,
little disrespectful.
yeah, if you're going to be a little prick, can you do it later? Like, just let this man die in peace.
Right? Not when your grandfather's dying.
And, like, your grandma's a few years younger than him, but she's not doing great.
Right?
So, April 2021 is Charles's father, Prince Philip, passes away. And then Harry awkwardly comes home. In November of 2021, as the future head of the Commonwealth, mostly because the head of the Commonwealth was the Queen and she was not up for traveling to the Barbados, Charles is invited by the Prime Minister to attend the transition of the Barbados government into a parliamentary republic. So Barbados is part of the Commonwealth, but they're a Commonwealth realm, or they were a Commonwealth realm, which meant that their head of state was the monarch of Great Britain or the
Got it.
UK. So in November 2021, they become an independent nation with no monarchy head of state, but they are still a member of the Commonwealth.
Got it.
Yeah. And also Rihanna was there.
That's really her, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I thought it kind of looked like her face, and I was like, I mean, it makes sense. She's from
Yeah.
Barbados.
She represents her country. She literally goes to like these state events. September 2022 is the death of Queen Elizabeth. She dies in Balmoral. There is a whole 10-day process of getting her body back to London and performing ceremonies not only in England, but they had some in Edinburgh before they brought her body back. Prince Charles is the longest serving British heir apparent, and he is also the oldest person to succeed to the British throne. And then May 6, 2023, coronation. I tell you, this man, he loves the ceremony.
He makes the most anxious turtle faces at everything. Like, I wish, I'm zoomed in on his face right now. I don't know if you can do that, but it's just.
I cannot. Nope. I think it looks like that from this angle. He was taking this very seriously.
I bet he was. I mean, you are being crowned king. You probably should be. But he almost looks scared. Like, I don't want to mess it up.
Oh god, no. Also, like, all of this stuff is very, like, heavy, and you want to hold it perfectly. So you're just like...
Right? Don't drop it!
He did make sure that his coronation was a little bit shorter and smaller and less expensive than his mother's, and that it was more representative of different faiths and community groups.
Did he have to repent publicly for this?
No, but it was in the news that it was problematic.
For what?
Well, they were like, you're going to a coronation to become head of the Anglican Church.
And you're trying to make it.
Why are we even mentioning these other religions?
Got it.
And it was like, well, I'm also king of the nation.
And there's a lot of people here.
Trying to involve everybody. Sorry, my job is a little ambiguous. And that's what I have on King Charles. Lately, he's just been trying to recover from cancer for like the last year. And also still working incredibly hard for somebody who's getting cancer treatments all the time.
Which kind of seems like his
modus operandi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, guess good for you. Because I think a lot of the Diana stuff, like, around that time, like, it just feels like he's just, like, fucking off and being an asshole.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's just because it's, like, we're only looking at him through that lens at that time period.
Yeah, well, when you're doing an episode on Diana, it's kind of hard not to see it all from her point of view.
But I'm not even talking about, like, just the episode in general. I'm just thinking about, like, my perspective before this, like, coming into hearing more about his history was, like, I'm like, what did he even do before this? Like, I did not realize that he was more involved throughout the time period, like, throughout his life. I kind of only know,
Like what he did as Prince of Wales.
yeah. Like I'm kind of only like, again, prior to this, like a lot of my information about him is in relation to Diana, not like separate from
Oh,
her. But
right.
like, just assume he didn't do anything.
What?
In a
He
way.
actually he actually did a lot and kept himself busy at all times. Like I told you earlier, he's going to college and he's also taking flight lessons because he's like, I'm gonna go into the military right after this and I want to be ready. And
Right?
then when he gets out of the military, he goes straight into creating one of the largest charitable foundations probably in the world that has helped over 1 million people in the time that it's been around. And the Duchy of Cornwall, he was in charge of for 50 plus years, and he grew it to a like $1 billion property conglomeration.
It's just wild. Like he has done a lot.
Yeah, and he's written multiple books on different topics. He also likes to paint.
Little soft boy.
Yeah, he's trying.
I was gonna say, I'm like, but honestly, like, and this is true of anybody, right? Where it's like you learn more about their childhood and you're like, oh yeah, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now.
We, yeah. I mean, it's still a little extreme for me. Like, I can understand at some points being like, nobody helped me. I tried to help you and you didn't want the help that I gave you, so
Screw off.
I did what I could and I don't have time for this.
Right.
But it was a little extreme where she was like trying to kill herself, you know?
True.
Yeah. That's it. That's what we have on Charles. I don't know what time it is. Oh, we kept it under 2 hours.
We kept it under 2 hours. I'm really proud of us.
I'm so proud of us considering he lived twice as long as Diana and her episode was 3 hours.
But I guess, yeah, like going back to that, like he's done a lot of stuff, but it's like, I'm sure some of it's very like normalized, right? Where it's like he's done a lot of ceremonies, he's been a lot of places. Like, if we had listed everything he did, like if you had gone through and listed every single thing he's ever done, that would be a lot, and we'd be here for like 6 hours.
We would be here forever.
But because it's more of like a, okay, here are like, yes, he lived longer, but what am I trying to say? It wasn't as dramatic in a lot of ways.
Somebody just knocked on my door. I'll be back.
Oh.
Okay, I'm back from the guy leaving me a package and knocking on the door, scaring the heck out of me. I was just looking at the cat. Watch out for the cat. I'm looking at the calendar. There's not a lot going on. That's like things that happen every year for the news coming up. The only thing I see ahead in the next 2 weeks is Lily's birthday is on June 4th. You know who Lily is?
Yeah, it's Meghan and Harry's daughter.
Yeah. She's gonna be 4
Little.
on the 4th.
Cute.
Sure, Megan will post something like she always says. She's not an influencer. That's it. So, if you're still listening, give us a
Thanks.
like. Maybe write us a comment. We did get one comment last episode.
Oh, I think I saw that, and I was like, wow, thanks, person.
I got so excited that when I went to respond, I initially responded from my personal account and had to delete it.
Like, oh yeah, oops.
And then I came back with a Modern Monarchy account and I was like, hey, thanks for the compliment and thanks for commenting like we were hoping.
Tell your friends.
But yeah. What is next episode?
I was gonna say, you tell me.
Next episode is the Commonwealth. And
Ah.
finally explain what it is.
Okay. Helpful.
That should be good. Yeah, that should be nice. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Having a little Porky Pig moment.
It
That's
feels
all, folks.
it feels wrong that we did this in such a short amount of time.
No, I don't feel like I want to die. So, I think we're gonna say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.